I hold in my hands a 7-page ruling from the United States Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit, rebuffing Donald Trump, putting him back in his place, and chastising this administration and Donald Trump for its lawlessness. Now, they do it in a very metered appeals court way, but what is in this document is stark, and we're going to talk about that. Let me give you a little background. The way our court system works, we have federal courts, district courts, and then above those are the appeals courts, and then above that is the Supreme Court. And Donald Trump has been playing a dance with all of these elements of our judiciary to avoid what he is obligated to do under court order, under ruling from the Supreme Court of the United States, relative to the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who, due to an administrative error, was disappeared to a foreign gulag for life. U.S. Senator for Maryland has gone, probably on his way back from El Salvador right now, after having seen him. And this is in the wake of this ruling from the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. And again, this language is very stark. Keeping in mind, I'm going to read this, and I want you to keep in mind exactly how courts work, judges work, appeals courts work in their language. They're not radical. They're not bombastic like a YouTube host. They are metered and sober and forward-looking about the language they use to be factual. And some of the language in here, factual, is unprecedented. And it's unprecedented for the fact that Donald Trump and his actions are unprecedented and fascist. This is in the matter of Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia. This is an order from the appellate court. So what this exactly deals with is the Trump administration. Donald Trump is asking the appellate court to reverse the decision of the lower court ruling, the federal court ruling that was backed by the Supreme Court. They're saying, hey, can you just reverse this? We don't want to return Garcia to the United States, even though he's here legally. He is not a criminal, and we have been ordered to do so. They want to reverse this. So this is the ruling from that appellate court. Get my glasses so I can read a little bit more properly, since my eyes have decided to quit on me. Upon review of the government's motion, the court denies the motion for emergency stay pending appeal and for a writ of mandamus. The relief the government is requesting is both extraordinary and premature. While we fully respect the executive's robust assertion of its Article 2 powers, that's the Constitution, Article 2 of the Constitution, we shall not micromanage the efforts of a fine district judge attempting to implement the Supreme Court's recent decision. It is difficult in some cases to get to the very heart of the matter, but in this case, it is not hard at all. The government is asserting a right to stash away residents of this country in foreign prisons without the semblance of due process that is the foundation of our constitutional order. So we'll stop and start here as we provide a little commentary. They are recognizing the immense power of the executive branch. Being a co-equal branch of government, they're doing the right thing, the sober-minded thing, the dispassionate thing, the clearly constitutional thing here. And they also say, what you're asking for is insanity, that you are stashing away residents of this country with no due process, which is to say, you're ignoring the courts. You're absolutely acting as though this co-equal branch of government doesn't even exist, which is a power grab, an unconstitutional form of governance. Further, it claims in essence that because it has rid itself of custody, that there is nothing that can be done. This should be shocking not only to judges, but to the intuitive sense of liberty that Americans far removed from courthouses should hold dear. The government asserts that Abrego Garcia is a terrorist and member of MS-13. Perhaps, but perhaps not. Regardless, he is still entitled to due process. If the government is confident of this position, it should be assured that position will prevail in proceedings to terminate the withholding of the removal order. The same thing that I've been talking about for over a week now. That Donald Trump, you don't get to have it both ways. If he is a terrorist, all right, show the evidence, provide due process. Constitutional rights are still paramount in our system of government. Still, for now, they are. Going to move on to page 3 here, skipping a few things. The Supreme Court's decision does not, however, and this follows, by the way, this follows them explaining what the Supreme Court's decision does. They are giving credence to the position of the government, to the executive branch, and then they come around on this new paragraph. The Supreme Court's decision does not, however, allow the government to do essentially nothing. It requires the government to facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from custody in El Salvador and to ensure that his case is handled as it would have been had he not been improperly sent to El Salvador. That's telling, is it not? Again, these judges are not trashing Donald Trump. They're not attacking him. These aren't radical leftist activists. These are sober-minded, dispassionate administrators of justice, something Donald Trump is not. The executive possesses enormous powers to prosecute and to deport, but with powers come restraints. If today the executive claims the right to deport without due process and in disregard of court orders, what assurance will there be tomorrow that it will not deport American citizens and then disclaim responsibility to bring them home? And what assurances shall there be that the executive will not train its broad discretionary powers upon its political enemies? The threat, even if not the actuality, would always be present, and the executive's obligation to, quote, take care that the laws be faithfully executed would lose its meaning. I cannot impress upon you enough, more strongly enough, that a federal appeals court is sounding the alarm about the removal, the disappearance of American citizens, of Donald Trump's political enemies. This is an appeals court. This is not some random federal judge in Kansas. This is the appeals court for the Fourth Circuit, just below the Supreme Court of the United States. This should send a fear through you. This should have you waking up. Oftentimes these stories, they come at the very end of a cycle of news, and people are tired of hearing about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They're tired of hearing about the ICE raids, so they move on to sexier stories. It doesn't get more sexy than this. It doesn't get more important than this. It doesn't get more of a story that you should be clinging onto and sharing with all of your online cohort. Now, I think there's one more page in here. No, there is not. That is it. I was going to go through and read the explanation of the Supreme. I don't need these anymore. Of the Supreme Court and what their decision was, but you've probably heard it because of the fact that this has been in your ears for so long. We are in very tenuous, scary times. We are perched precariously on the precipice of fascism. Donald Trump is disappearing human beings from this country without due process. The same Donald Trump who took an oath to this Constitution, the same Constitution to which I swore an oath, that so many of you swore an oath if you served in the military or were federal employees or local employees in your local municipality. Donald Trump thinks he is a dictator. He promised he would be a dictator on day one. This is what you get. Thankfully, there are some courts out there who are going to push back. Hopefully, if this lands back with the Supreme Court, which I suspect it will, they will make the right decision and claw back the power they have under the Constitution of the United States as a co-equal branch of government. If not for the undocumented immigrants here, and he wasn't undocumented, Abrego Garcia. He was here legally. He went through the process. He had been here for 14 years. He has American children. And it's not just about him. It's about us. It's about American citizens who are targets, not next, but right now. Which in a follow-up video today, I'm going to talk about American citizens who are getting letters telling them to self-deport from the government. We are being targeted. If you are an opponent of Donald Trump, if you're a Democrat, like he said during the campaign, if you donated to Democrats during this last election cycle, you will be targeted. You will be prosecuted. You will be persecuted as an enemy. He said it. And now it's coming to fruition. And now it's time for you to do what you can to spread the word. What do you think? I would appreciate your feedback. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. Of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. This is some good news that we should definitely celebrate, but it's just one battle in a larger war that we're fighting against fascism and totalitarianism and a dictatorship of Donald Trump. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Until then, be genuine. Take care of one another.